Hello there, and welcome to Pink Milk, your Star Wars podcast for us superfans.
And those of us who are forced to listen to them.
Today is someday, and someday we're talking to some sisters with sabers. Get ready.
Well, I can't be ready because I won't be with you today.
You won't, and we missed you. So hopefully you're going to listen to it, Thomas, because it's a great conversation.
Of course I'll listen to it.
Very good. Get ready, because it's time to drink up.
Drink up.
Hello, Pop.
Well, hello, Bryan. Thank you for having me today.
Oh, it's a pleasure, Thomas. It's a pleasure.
I understand.
You know, it's so funny.
For as little as I'll be here today, I'm sure.
Yes,
I understand.
You have been a very, very busy boy. I have been a single father most of the week. And, thank God I had a vacation because I'm calm. I am very zen, and I am positive energy, positive Patty.
Well, positive Patty. Let me thank you for picking up the slack.
You're welcome. Please don't make a habit of it.
Well, it's going to be for a little bit.
We did. Listeners, we missed you. I know we are a week late, but thank you for allowing us to go eat far, far too many potatoes.
That's right, folks. We spent an awesome week in Boise, Idaho.
Thomas, it's not Boise.
It's Boise.
Boise. Boise. I am from Boise.
If anybody's out there and they know the answer to how you really say it, because it seemed to be a real array of pronunciations of Boise, let us know.
Please send us an audio
Inquiring
file.
minds want to know.
It was a really, really great place. It's I never in a million years thought I would ever go to Idaho. So quarantine, coronavirus, lack of traveling, lack of all this. Led us to an adventure in a car to a place that honestly was really fantastic.
Actually, I have to say thanks, COVID, because like Bryan said, normally every year we head west to the beach in the beginning of the summer, and then towards the end of the summer we head east to family. So we figured, we can't do both of those. Those are not options, so where can we go? We could go west. I'm sorry, no, south. But we're like, we've been there. We're not going to, we're as far south as we can go.
Yeah. And so we turned on YouTube, and for some reason, the algorithm gods sent us a Boise video with two dudes. One of them may or may not be handsome. That may or may not have contributed to whether or not we wanted to go.
Nothing to do with it, folks.
Nothing to do with handsome men. So anyways, we just literally spur of the moment decided, let's go eat some potatoes.
So the YouTube videos were about all these outdoors activities, and we were like, wait, we're outdoorsy, right?
I think so.
So let's go to Boise.
We have a tent
that we bought that we haven't used, but we had the intention. So we had the intent
to be outdoorsy.
To use the tent.
No, anyways, we hiked to waterfalls, which if you follow us on Twitter or Instagram, you'll see that photo that we posted with the family, and a rainbow follows us little gay people around everywhere we go. That was really wonderful.
What's the most important part of that picture? The important part of that picture is who took the picture.
I was going to get there.
All right. Okay.
So, but real quick before we get to that story, because honestly, it leads into a little bit of the conversation that you weren't, unfortunately, not a part of, that we had later. But we went to a waterfall, and Jack jumped off some rocks into the little pool around the waterfall. We went paddle boarding and kayaking in a big lake, which Eli in particular is very excited about the lake.
Could you tell us who took the picture?
I will. I'm getting there. I'm telling everyone what we did. And then we went whitewater rafting.
So we're going to tell you everything about the vacation, and then we'll tell you who took the picture.
Yeah, because it's a lead-in, Thomas. Hello, I am the king of lead-ins and segues. They call me the segue king. That's why they're off the road, because the segue is like, I can't take this title anymore. I got to give it to Bryan and Pink Milk. He's the true segue king.
Mm-hmm.
So anyways, that was our vacation. That is why we missed a week. So thank you, listeners, for giving other podcasts. Hopefully you gave Sisters with Sabers a listen if you hadn't already while we were gone. But yeah, the picture that we took was really wonderful because I'll let Tom take the lead.
So lo and behold, we are about a mile off any beaten path, and we're heading towards this Jump Creek Falls in Idaho, which was beautiful, and it's surrounded by rocks. Anyway, long story short, we're hanging out there, and we're walking back, and this young lady happens to see us taking a picture.
Probably mid-20s at best.
Oh, well, when you're my age, she was a young lady. She offered to take the picture, and it's just so funny because normally there's this rainbow that appeared behind the picture, which is kind of funny given the fact that, we're LGBTQ family. Mm-hmm. And turns out that this gal in the middle of nowhere...
Well, hang on. Ask this question, which we touch on this a little bit in the conversation of... it seemed inappropriate at the beginning because she took the picture and immediately said, "When did you adopt your boys?"
Random, in the middle of a forest.
Yeah, so I was like, whoa, taken aback for a minute. And then Thomas.
And then she goes on to say both her and her fiance have spoken about...
who's a woman.
Who's a woman, okay. Have spoken about adopting children as well. So Bryan had most of the conversation.
Yeah, it was
just from there.
It was really awesome how minorities can rally together and we see each other. We have a quick conversation later in this podcast about Ray and Ben and how they see each other. And I think there are people of shared experience that see each other in a way that only those people in that same shared experience can actually see someone. Like if you don't walk our road, you can look at us and see us walk by and enjoy the view and enjoy the conversation, but you don't see us the same way. And it was really, really wonderful because we were able to share our story a little bit with this girl who's in her mid-20s and she
was with her mom.
Yeah, ironic. With her mom and she and her soon-to-be wife want to adopt some children. And I just, I looked at her when we were leaving. I was like, I'm really, really happy for you because you are very young and this is an option. You're on the way to get married. You can have children. And 20 years ago when I was, I guess 15 years ago when I was your age, that wasn't in the cards for me. And I'm really happy for you that you didn't have to walk that road alone like Tom and I did. And it's a moment of reflection of being proud of what we're doing and representing our people in a different way that isn't always shown. It's one of the things that Tom and I have talked about on this podcast, that we're like really excited that the kids have become a part of it, maybe a little less than they did at the first few episodes. But I really am very happy that we're representing another kind of gay family that isn't always portrayed. So it's pretty great.
Very great.
But with that said, we are going to listen to my talk with a fabulous group of ladies. We pulled this together last minute, and we had 6 guests on at one time. It was really, really awesome. Unfortunately, Tom is not here with us. We all know he is really great at the interview. So got me.
Please try not to miss me. I will be here in spirit.
But we have a really, really wonderful conversation about representation, about being a minority in a fandom, and how we get through some of those conversations that exist around us and oftentimes about us, but don't include us at the same time. So it's really interesting. Anyways, get ready. Enjoy the conversation with Sistas with Sabers. Get ready, because it's time to drink up.
Drink up.
Hello there, everyone in the podcast world. I'm very, very, very excited to have some Sistas with Sabers here drinking some pink milk with me this evening. I am very happy to have more guests at one time than I've ever had, but I am about to become a teacher at least as part-time teacher for the next few months. So this is going to help me with my kids and their Zoom calls during school. So I'm going to let the ladies introduce themselves. Maria, why don't we start with you? We all know Maria from Sistas with Sabers and her fantastic Twitter feed and the cutest baby ever.
Hey, it's me, Maria.
Who else we got this evening?
I'm Rihanna. Most people know me as Bina on Twitter. I cosplay and stuff if you recognize me from there.
Raven?
Hi, this is Raven. My Twitter feed is not as exciting as Maria's. Doesn't have any cute kids, excuse me, and no cosplaying either, so I'm pretty boring, but hi.
No, you're not. You love Return of the Jedi, and that's fantastic.
Yes, I do.
All right, roll.
Hello, everyone. Hello? I'm Ro. I am the filthy casual of the group. Nice to be here.
We love a casual fan. Pink Milk is all about us Star Wars super fans and those forced to listen. So Tom is a casual fan at best. G, how about for you?
Hi, my name's G, also known as the Royal Milk Tea on Twitter. I am a semi-casual fan of Star Wars, and my Twitter feed is very weird and bad.
But awesome.
There's no such thing as bad. That's right.
Thank you.
All right, and Olivia, last but not least.
Hey, I'm Olivia. I am Olive Gelato on Twitter. My Twitter feed is just probably me ranting and things about Star Wars. So I think we all can relate to that a little bit.
We can. Well, thank you so much, ladies. I'm very excited, like I said. And we've all got our glasses full of pink milk, getting ready to dig in deep about representation and all the fabulous, deep conversations that the sisters normally get to have that I usually force Tom to listen to off mic. And now y'all are about to listen and be forced to listen on mic. So we're very, very excited. Ladies, the first thing I want to do, because I'm not sure if you have done it on your show yet, I'd love to know everyone's favorite movie as kind of a base point to see where we're all coming from, because I think favorite Star Wars films usually tell a lot about what kind of Star Wars fan they are, oftentimes. Who wants to start?
I'll start because I'm unafraid of my unapologetic love for The Last Jedi. It's my favorite. Thanks for
Very
the applause.
Nice. My favorite.
I was on mute, but I was clapping too.
Okay.
Raven, I think I know yours. I think you and I have had a conversation about this on Twitter.
We have, and I am a Return of the Jedi stan.
What?
Hey, I'm holding down the old school. I'm holding down the OT for the group.
No, you and me both. You can only have two corners now. I got the other two.
Yep. Okay. Fair.
We can go gliding like the Ewoks on our little gliders.
Darn right.
Dropping rocks.
Throwing rocks.
Olivia, how about for you?
I think my favorite movie is Revenge of the Sith, just because I'm pretty young, so that was like my first real attachment to the Star Wars universe and that was the first movie I saw in theaters. So I love it.
Awesome. It's a great one. And I've got lots of feelings about Anakin Skywalker and y'all's boy and his portrayal of Anakin. I think it is spot on. And the people that like to rag on his performance, and I don't know if they get it all the time. At least not the way I do. So I'm pretty excited. Gee, how about for you?
I might get dragged for this one, but I think my favorite movie is Attack of the Clones.
What? Oh, yeah, okay. You, me, and Alice will hold down the Twitter fort and stand for Attack of the Clones all day long. That's Alice from Force Toast Pod.
It has everything you want in a movie. Action, romance, drama, political intrigue. What more could you possibly want?
Adam Driver.
Can I get an amen? Amen. Just one more time. Thank you.
Well, that's all the time we have on Pink Milk today. I'd like to thank my guest,
I
Right
wasn't
off the
expecting
rails.
wigs to come off for some cat fights. I was expecting
And
it
they're
to,
off.
That's how we roll here.
That's how we roll.
You've got Ewan McGregor, and up until
True.
maybe Poe, Ewan was the
True.
hottest Star Wars person.
True.
But
Well, I mean, unless you have a
I am
thing for
shallow enough to
boots.
say, okay, yeah, I'm not that gay. I'm not a shoe gay.
Don't worry, honey. I'll hold down the fort on that one.
I am not shallow enough to talk about Oscar Isaac's Heine on air because apparently no one else seems to want to talk about it in the Star Wars universe. And,
I will happily
it's
talk about it.
perfect.
It's a very lovely
It was
Heidi.
not shot on.
It
Sure is. There's some movie, I forget what it's called. He plays like a substitute teacher or something, and I swear there's like 45 minutes of him standing on a ladder with his butt, and the lady teacher's talking about his butt. And
Does it come
that
with
was
a
needed
parental
in The Last
advisory?
Jedi. It's the only thing that could have made it better. Yeah. Who have we got left? Maria? Is it just you?
I'm here.
I think I am. Oh,
Roll. There you go. Okay, I thought I was missing somebody. What's your favorite?
Actually, I'm tied. I'm tied between Rogue One and The Force Awakens, because those were the two movies that got me excited about Star Wars again.
Rogue One was so good.
Rogue One's, I stand on, I think it is the most beautiful Star Wars movie of any and all the Star Wars films. It is so beautiful looking. Everything
I think
about
that's
it's
a fair assessment.
It meshes the new school with the old school incredibly well. Incredibly well. All right, Maria, how about for you?
we're out of hot takes. I was going to say Rogue One.
Okay. No, that's good.
That's it, dude. I enjoyed it. And I think Michael Giacchino did a great job with the music. Like, it's really, when she's climbing up to the tower, like, there's a lot of tension being built there because there's nothing really happening. She's climbing, but that music is just pulling a thread, and you just have no idea what's going to happen next.
100%. Parade of the Ewoks is probably my favorite Star Wars song. But, and I'm not great with all the names, but there's the shots. It was only in A New Hope, like right before you get to the Death Star, and it's got like the strings do their little whirly-doos, and Rogue One brought them back. And I was so excited to hear that little, I wish I was better with the names because I don't remember. But the entrance of the Death Star, I will say that is the Death Star theme. That it was brought back in Rogue One, and I was really excited that he did that because it was missed for sure. And Rogue One was also the first movie that we brought our oldest son Jack to. So Jack came to us just a few days before Thanksgiving, almost 4 years ago, and he was 7. And I was able to take a child to a Star Wars movie, which was very emotional because, as I've said a lot on this podcast, the idea of being a father was never anything on the table for me. And Tom and I were together for many years before we had our boys, and so it was just not in the cards for us. And the world changed what felt like overnight. It felt like a very long fight, but then overnight it was very different. And I couldn't believe that I was sitting there watching a Star Wars movie with my own son. It was pretty incredible. It was pretty incredible. So Rogue One will always have a special spot specifically for that for me.
I think it's special when you get to share that with your child. I took Ahsoka to see Rise of Skywalker just because I wanted that to be the first movie she ever saw in a theater. Mm-hmm. And even though she was like 1 and had no idea what the hell was going on, I think it's a special way to connect with them. And you can look back on that photo later and share that memory. And it connects you in a really interesting and special way.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was 1 year old when my mother took me to see The Empire Strikes Back. So I think you got a lifer there. And with a name like that, she's going to have to be.
She's something.
So, ladies, what are some characters that you all really relate to? Because it's I'm going to go in for something pretty quick on the deeper level, because y'all talk a lot about on your podcast about, there isn't a ton of representation for minorities. There's really none for queer people, unless you want to talk about Luke and maybe kind of Oscar and the ladies that kiss or whatever, but there really isn't anyone for us. So I think we've all found our favorite characters that we relate to on a personal level, that we have to, in a way, find a workaround or read a certain coded character that may or may not be specifically coded for that, but we find our way to that person, to help us through whatever it is in life that we need to get through, specifically as a minority. So I think that question is a really important one for an underrepresented group of people. So I'd love to hear who your favorite character is and why, and like kind of maybe how you relate to them a little bit. And anyone can jump in.
Okay, well, it's a great question. Thank you so much for asking and for having us on. It's really a pleasure to be on. I believe very strongly that Pink Milk walked so we could run. Like I don't know many other podcasts that are specific to a group of people. They're speaking on behalf of their own experience in fandom. So thank you so much to you and Tom for doing that. Everyone knows my character's Ahsoka. Like there's other characters that I identify with, Jyn, Rey, Leia, but everyone knows that I identify very closely with Ahsoka.
How about you, Raven?
Well, I identify with a lot of characters, depending on the day, but I think my favorite character is Luke Skywalker, always has been, always will be. And I believe that I think the reason he's my favorite character is because when I was a kid, I identified with his simple beliefs, his optimistic naivete, his, the good guys always win and always wear white hats and so on and so forth. And as I've grown to be an adult, Luke is still my favorite character, but the reason he's my favorite character now is because I aspire to be that optimistic, naive, always seeing the good in the situation. It's something I try to do and fail miserably most of the time. So I'm always trying to be a Jedi like Luke before me.
That's awesome. That's really, really beautiful. Roll, how about you?
My favorite character is General Hux, which is everyone probably is not in the sisters group, but I have one friend who is with me on General Hux, but I relate to him because one, I've always gravitated more towards the villains, and despite being a minor character, he's got a lot of unexplored hidden depths and things that I relate with. Basically, people always underestimating him or just assuming that he can't do things. And so, yeah, despite being a very minor character in the grand scheme of things, he was the one who spoke to me. He's the most beloved Star Wars character, in my opinion.
I think he stole the show in The Force Awakens for me in that creepy speech. 100%. I'm with you. G, how about you?
Well, I have a lot of favorite characters in Star Wars. I guess the one that comes to mind first would be Finn for reasons. He was one of the first black main characters in the Star Wars universe that I saw. I'm slowly making my way through the Clone Wars now. And Mace Windu is a character in that, but basically I relate to Finn on a personal level. Somebody who tries to do his best despite being afraid
Yep. You know, I think he answers that when Luke in The Last Jedi tells Rey, you know, it's the destiny of a Jedi to face their fear, basically. You know, I know we didn't fully get Poe or Finn being a Jedi for whatever reason they didn't announce that. I don't know. But I agree with you. He's never afraid to face it, and certainly doesn't, as much as he was a runner, I feel like very much like Han Solo always wanted to run away from being a good guy, but never really did. Neither did Poe or Finn. You know, Finn never ran away from, no matter how afraid he was. You know, he just got his back sliced open. The first thing he does is wake up and is ready to jump back in. It was a pretty incredible thing that character did, for sure. Yeah, I don't want to get too negative, but that's one of the the sad things that the Rise of Skywalker didn't give us.
Oh boy, you're telling me.
Yeah, it was really disappointing that didn't happen. He didn't lead a revolution that he very well needed to, and proven that he is capable of doing IRL. So I'm with you. He's a great character. Olivia, how about for you?
Well, Maria will she'll agree. She knows what I'm talking about because I just finished the last season of Clone Wars. So I have to say Ahsoka right now is my favorite character because and I relate to her because to me she's the black sheep, and I've always felt like the black sheep growing up. But I also admire her integrity and determination to stand up for what she believes in, and that's something that, you know, I wish I had in a character growing up. That it's like I'm relating to it just now as an adult. So I kind of wish I had Ahsoka when I was younger. But also I would say like on par with her is Darth Vader. I love Darth Vader. So
okay. What about Darth Vader? I love it when people love a villain
because he is just dope. Like he's so dope. Like he's so powerful, but you know he's the outcome of a tragedy, and it's just very poetic. He's just a poetic character to me, and he's just strong. And I'm just now reading the comics, thanks to Maria again. And I'm just getting this whole new depth to him as Darth Vader. And I don't know. I just think he's really interesting. Like he's not just this cool voice that marches around who's strong. He has depth to him, you know, and you know, I don't see him and Anakin as separate. I see them very much intertwined. So, yeah.
That's awesome. That's really, really great. All right, Rihanna, how about for you?
Well, you know, I feel like there's two answers. I feel like I'm very much like Ahsoka, personality-wise. Like my dad calls me Snips. Like that's so personality-wise, I feel like I'm very like much like Ahsoka. But my favorite Star Wars character ever, top tier is Ben Solo. I love him to death. I would die for him. Just because I relate to him a lot, just with his inner turmoil. I haven't killed my dad yet, but nor do I plan to. He's safe from me and my lightsaber. You know, just dealing with the burden of finding who you are beyond a legacy, despite everyone having expectations of you and what you should be, and having those expectations just tear you apart, trying to find yourself. And trying to find yourself is often messy and it's often destructive. But at the end, you know, you gotta push through, even if you're the only one, you know, championing yourself, you know, even when there's no one at the bottom of the pit with you telling you to rise up, you still crawl yourself out of that pit to get to what you believe in, literally or figuratively. So, you know, it's just a character that means so much to me. Yeah, I could talk forever about him, so I'm going to just cut it short. But yeah, Ben Solo
that's awesome.
Is definitely my favorite character.
That's awesome. You know, first, Maria, thank you for saying what you said. That really means a lot. It was, as you know, it was a scary thing starting this podcast. I think I thought maybe at the beginning we would talk to a few gay people out there because at the time when I first started, I didn't know of any gay Star Wars podcasters at all, and I don't know any YouTubers that are gay that talk about Star Wars specifically from a queer lens. Since starting the show, I have found a few others, but I don't think they speak specifically to queer people. I don't think that's what their goals were, and that's really wonderful. But for me, I wanted to speak specifically to people like me who saw Star Wars, who see Star Wars through the same set of circumstances that I do. So it's very kind of you to say that. And I think one of the things that I'm the most shocked and appreciative of is being embraced by so many other people that I was not anticipating that. I've mentioned it on our podcast before, but we just came out of Pride Month, and June was a really horrible time in our country in 2020, and so it was a very weird time to have Pride, and it felt very selfish to think about it with everything that was and is still going on. But that month really changed me because I feel like I had more people reaching out to us at that time that weren't queer, but really wonderful, kind messages of, being appreciative of hearing our voices. And, I'm in my 40s and time has changed so much. I mean, I have had, I've been spit on, I've been beaten up, I've had all the horrible things that unfortunately, a lot of people have to go through. And it seems like in the blink of an eye, who 10 years ago could have been someone that would have spit on me is now saying thank you for opening my eyes about what life is like for someone other than myself. It's pretty incredible. It's a really incredible feeling, and I hope y'all are getting those same kinds of messages from people.
Most of the response has been pretty positive. Yeah. I just, I want to say that your Pride series was fire. It was so good. And you included so many different voices. And I enjoyed it in the midst of like everything that was going on. It gave me a lot of hope and just something positive to look forward to when the episode would come out.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. I was really blown away by what happened. So hopefully when next year rolls around, I'll be a little more prepared to do some things. But thank you for saying that. It was really awesome. I think it was your first official episode after your initial get to know us, and you had mentioned something that Mark had mentioned when he was on Pink Milk, Mark from Clashing Sabers. And it was something that was eye-opening for me. I guess I don't know what this says about me as a person, but I've never felt the need to. And I'm really curious to get y'all's take on this. But you had mentioned in that episode that you felt the need, so I don't know what was said, but you felt the need to clarify that you're not speaking for all Black women. And when Mark was on our show, he clarified that he is not speaking for all queer people. And I respect that 100%. And I was in that moment, I took a step back. I'm like, is this something that I should have done? And I don't know personally how to feel about that yet, because I don't understand why do we have to, as a minority, clarify that we're not speaking for all minorities. Straight people get to have an opinion. And don't have to say, by the way, I'm not speaking for all straight people. And I, as a minority, we as minorities have had to navigate those things and understand that just because we have a bigot or a jerk on this side doesn't mean that jerk speaks for all the people standing behind them. That I don't know. I understand the intention is really great to say I don't speak for all. But there's part of me that is insulted because I feel like it's still making me different and I am still less than because I have to take a step that you don't have to take. if that makes sense. And
It's
I could be
true.
very wrong. I'm like very much in an open space of hearing different kinds of conversations about that specifically. So I'm really interested to hear what you have to say about it if you don't mind sharing it, because that's kind of a
No,
really
it's
putting yourself
fine.
out there.
And it is true. It's an extra step of work that most people don't even have to think about when they open their mouth. They don't have to think about, oh, I'm representing everybody. I got to make sure I'm on point. And I feel like people of color, have to think about those things. And I had received some feedback that prompted that. I'm not going to get into that here because it's really not important. And I feel like the more, air you give to haters, the more they continue to breathe. So I'm not really going to get into what was said or what the email said, but I did want to make the point that we are not trying to say that there aren't other opinions out there. And the tweet that sparked Sisters with Sabers is open to anybody, as is the podcast. If you want to come on the podcast and you want to say something, then bitch, come on. I'm not stopping you. I'm I'm just gonna be blunt. No one. The only thing standing between you and this mic is your own situation. Like, do you really have the drive to do it? So I'm not really gonna feed into that specific situation, but I am gonna say that I feel that as a person of color, there's a burden. There's a certain weight there to represent in a positive light and to be seen a certain way. There's a lot of burden there, I feel. Being the bigger person, teaching people how to interact with us. Like, I shouldn't have to be the spokesperson. And we touched on this in an episode. I think Roll touched on this. Like, she, had to inform people, like, and that's not our role. And the problem is ignorant people just refuse to educate themselves. And so we're forced at times to explain ourselves to individuals, and we shouldn't have to, because I know there's a lot of straight, cis white folks out there that don't explain anything to anybody about how they appear or why they make the decisions that they make. And that's all good. And that's just fine for them. And I think that people don't always appreciate the level of effort and the burden that carries with it. I'm sure the other girls will have different opinions.
I don't know, but for me, when I say I don't speak for all Black women or bi women or women of color, it's a warning. Like, do not use my words as a weapon against other people, other minorities. Because I feel like I've had that experience where, like, oh, well, Rihanna said such and such and such, so therefore you can't be offended by what I said because she's not personally offended. Like, no, you don't get to use me as a weapon again in your bigotry or whatever. So for me, it's not like me saying like, oh, well, I'm not speaking for all, because I know that. And I feel like other people of color and, other people in my communities should also know that. Hopefully, if they don't, well, then we can have a peaceful conversation. But it's mainly for the people who are so willing to use me as like, oh, well, I have a Black friend. Like, that's more like a warning. Like, you cannot use my words for that purpose against other people.
That is my favorite expression of all time. I have a friend who is oh, okay. So
like,
therefore, you have the right
congrats.
to say whatever you want. Yeah, congrats. Okay. Yeah, don't use, I understand that. Don't use my words in your Facebook post to say that you're right. Yeah.
If I may jump in.
Yeah, of course.
So yes, that whole subject, that is my life all the time, every day here. Because like being a like foreign minority in a country that is mostly like racially and like culturally homogenous, there's like up until, well, granted, like things are like better. It's like I walk down the street and people don't like scream in terror or anything, but I think it's just like, at least from my experience in Japan here, that like when I'm teaching about like America, I have to preface everything with this is like my personal experience. Do not like use this as a measure to think like all of my country is like this or like all Black people think this way or something. And it gets frustrating, but it's just, for me, it's a mix of like curiosity and ignorance, and sometimes it's very easy to toe that line where it's just like, how can you be so ignorant in like the digital age, and there's Google, and like look these things up, because I've been asked like the most like asinine questions, like, do I wash my hair, or does like the color come off my skin if I get wet? And things like that. And like coming, like I get a lot from children, and children get a pass because like they honestly don't know, and like a lot of these kids do not have are exposed to like minorities or people outside of like their own like families and inner circles. But from like grown adults and elderly, and like, because I've been like sexually harassed in public in the name of curiosity, heavy air quotes. And so yes, I get the whole frustrating. It's like, why should I have to preface like my words and actions when like, you know, cis white people get a free pass and stuff. But looking at it from the other side, like some people are just like genuinely curious and like don't have anything to go against. But at the same time, it's like there's just so many ways to educate yourself. Like when I interact with other minorities and stuff, I try to like educate myself, so I don't want to like come off as like, you know, ignorant or bigoted or anything. But yeah, it's a thing, and it's tiring, it's frustrating, but unfortunately, I think it's still necessary, at least here in Japan.
Yeah, you know,
If I could just slide in for a quick second, I think the reason why we always feel the need to preface what we're saying is that we don't speak for like our, like, as marginalized people, we always have to say that we don't speak for everyone, is because like the space that we take up in the conversation is very small, and we are also, in combination with that, we're also seen as like we have a monolithic culture. So people assume that what I think is what Maria thinks or what Rihanna thinks about something, because I'm the only, like, in the certain spaces that I've been in, I'm the only Black person that they really know and talk to. So I'm the authority on all, like, quote unquote, Black issues. So I think that prefacing, saying like, I don't speak for all Black people, is just a way of saying like, we don't all have the same story. We don't all believe the same things.
Yeah, it's thank you for sharing, first of all, everyone. I think it's really difficult because I think, at least for me personally, I try my best to not jump to being really ticked off at questions. If someone's coming from a genuine place of wanting to learn, I guess. Sometimes I feel like maybe it's a little bit of my responsibility, which is riddled with frustration and anger still, that I, but I've also tried to be like, well, at least I have an opportunity to, in this moment, share hopefully a positive message. But it can be very confusing if it's going to be used with malintent, or if it really is just a genuine question. I mean, like I said, that was part of the thing too with our podcast, was we also have kids, and there's not a lot of queer we're a minority, and then we're a minority within a minority of having children, and I guess, I wanted to show that we as queer people can be more than just one thing, and as to, white dudes, we can do more than just go to a bar and go to a circuit party, which, are all great and wonderful. And I've had those wonderful times, but we can evolve past that. And I think, a lot of times in media, that's kind of what we're stuck at, being single, 40, 50 something year old single people, who chose a partying good time life, then settle down and have a family. That being said, this life that I have now, as I say with regularity, I have a life right now that I never dreamed possible for myself, and it's an amazing gift that I will never once take for granted, because I really never thought I could have it. So maybe I'm hoping now that there are different opportunities for this community, that maybe some of those changes will start happening. But we can all see how long it takes the media to change a perception of what a group can look like. But I don't know. It's a really difficult question, and I don't know. It's a difficult question to ask. So thank you for answering it. It's a difficult question to answer. I think you have to be really vulnerable to put yourself out there and put words to it. So thank you. Kind of jumping on that a little bit, y'all talk about representation a lot, and it's something during Pride Month that I kind of learned more about within myself, I think. I am a gigantic Star Wars fan. I've been a Star Wars fan my entire life, and listening to people on this podcast and listening to other podcasts, and the idea of representation, I feel like I look at Star Wars a little differently than I used to. I also am a father now, which I've never had to watch Star Wars this way. And we're an interracial family on top of all these other things. And I understand the importance of it more maybe than I wanted to allow it to have in my past. But how is it to remain a fan and want more representation, be frustrated with not getting it, yet still love it, if that makes sense? It's a path to walk, I think.
I think that it is kind of frustrating to not get the representation that you want or like really need in media. But I guess as a Black woman and like as a Black nerd, you empathize, and then you with characters that don't look like you. You learn how to like, oh well, this character and I have this like thing in common, or I really think that how this person reacts to this thing is really cool, or something like that. Like I feel like all the years of watching media, like you learn how to just love the thing for what it is and hope for the best.
Yeah. It's, like I think about my kids, I guess, and like I said, I never wanted to be mad at Star Wars because I love it too much. And maybe that was not a super great way to live, but I think about my kids now, and mostly Michael, who's our youngest, and he's the only other super fan in the house. And I don't want him to have to spend his whole life like I did looking for a coded character and see himself and a family that looks like his in, we'll just stick with Star Wars for this specifically because he also loves Star Wars as much as I do. Like I want him to be able to grow up, especially in this new age where there's going to be a lot more Star Wars in the world, of seeing a family that might kind of resemble his, instead of having to, just look for it in something that's may or may not be there. So I'm curious how do you feel about it, Maria? I mean, you're a parent and a minority. They're the two separate things.
Yeah. It's something. With Ahsoka, I think just her name gives her an in. She already associates like the character with her, and me Ahsoka too, and she sees Ashley, and she's learning who Ashley is, and I think that's interesting. But I do hope that there will be more representation for her when it's time. I think that's a really important connection, but I can just champion for it, right? So we're doing the work right now. I'm doing all that I can. I finally put all my cards in on the table, all my chips are in, and I'm finally got to the point where it was time to shit or get off the pot. And I made the pod, and I make the commitment every week to voice what my feelings are, and hopefully, someone hears it and they say to two people, "Have you heard Sistas?" And those two people say, "Have you heard Sistas?" and one of those people is Justin Bolger, I hope, or somebody at Lucasfilm, because I think we have to be the ones to demand it in order for it to exist. It's not just going to show up on its own. We have to tell them this is what we want. If not, we're going to get more of, look, there's a character over there to the right, Oh, now she's dead. Sorry, and that's it. And we never see Val again. So I think we need to keep asking for it. We need to keep demanding it. And that will kind of fuel the change. As far as like my relationship with Star Wars, just because I'm not visible all the time doesn't mean there's so many other things besides like the characters that I love. I love the message and the foundation it gives me, right? Because I'm not a religious person. Like Star Wars is it. Like it's how I teach lessons to the kids. It's how we interact with everything. Like our home is just, it's covered in star. Like there's a painting right here. Like there's, this is it. Like this is our language. This is our culture in our home. Everything is through the Star Wars lens. So I love the story, and I'll always be a fan. But there will come a point in time where I may have to slow down on the merch, because if they're still not getting the message in, let's say 5 years, then maybe they don't need as many dollars. Maybe they don't need as many visits to Galaxy's Edge as they once did, because those are ways that we voice our opinion and we vote. To what happens, because Disney is a publicly traded company and they do want to make money. I think we're at the edge of a great precipice right now, where Lucasfilm has a choice to make. Do they want to continue to straddle the fence, or do they want to march into a brave new world on the cutting edge of what society is going to look like in the future? Right? Because what we're putting together in these films is in front of young people, and they are the future. So, and George Lucas knew this, right? So I think it's time for the Lucasfilm team today to grow a pair and pick a side.
Yep. Yeah, I hope this, yes, The Rise of Skywalker made an awful lot of money, but there was clearly a lot of anger from a lot of people that it was all right there. And it felt like last minute they changed so many things to water it down for a couple extra dollars that I am curious how they move forward from that. Like I look to The Mandalorian. One, Ahsoka's there, and she too is my very favorite character. Who just finished it? Was that you, G, that just finished Clone Wars?
No, I'm slowly making my way through it. I think Olivia finished Clone Wars a little while back.
Yeah, that was me. I just finished it like 2 weeks ago.
So season 5 the end? Because for me, season 5 is the end of Clone Wars. Season 6 is great.
I watched the final season. I watched all of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that last... I don't know if y'all have seen Postcards from Galaxy's Edge. Shannon from that podcast does the Moment Star Spoke to Me series. She's got as a woman and as a father, and with Love is coming out, I was lucky enough to have been asked to do that, And so I don't want to go into all of it, but and I've already done on the show way too many times, but that moment with Ahsoka, and I don't want to spoil it for any of you ladies who haven't seen it yet, because it is that final moment for Ahsoka is not only the greatest moment in any and all of Star Wars for me, hands down. I love Clone Wars. Clone Wars, I think, is the foundation of all Star Wars. It's just fucking amazing. But that scene changed me as a human being, like forever. I cannot talk about it much without getting crazy wreck. I can't watch that episode without like days later of it just sitting in my mind. And she really spoke to me. And I think Ahsoka, and it's been really wonderful listening to your podcast, because I feel like Ahsoka speaks to people in a way that no other Star Wars character has. And I love your Ahsoka is Black episode. I have always read Ahsoka as queer and someone living the queer experience. And that journey at the end of that episode has happened to far too many queer people. Too many people have had to leave everything and walk away from all these people who were supposed to love them. And then religion got in the way and they said, I'm sorry, you're dirt and you're a citizen, or whatever choice words that Jerk Mace Windy likes to use.
And to clarify, you're talking about the end of season 5, not the season 7 end.
Yeah, no.
End.
No, yeah, sorry. Yeah,
Right.
no, season 5 is the end of Clone Wars, and then season 6 and 7 are their own little thing. For me, personally, is how I watch it. Yeah, sorry. I forgot. That
Not a problem.
Ahsoka in the sunset is just, it is the most powerful, honestly, it's the most powerful thing of media I've ever seen that just spoke to me in such a way. And it was so, here I was at that time, that episode probably aired in 2013? Maybe?
Somewhere in there. I want to say 2012, 2013. The music was fire. Kevin Kiner he nailed it.
I'm like, here I am at that time in my mid-30s, white dude, and here's a 14-year-old girl speaking to me in a way that no one else has before, and it was something else. It's just amazing how she was able to survive that, and the forgiveness that she found in herself. I don't know how she did it. It's incredible. I love that character so much. She means absolutely everything to me. It's a real great thing. But I'm curious, with The Mandalorian coming out, has everyone watched The Mandalorian?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
What?
Yep.
Is that show?
Don't apologize. It's fine if you haven't watched it.
I've
It's not
watched
for
it.
everyone.
There
I
is
watched
no
the first
need
2
for an apology at
episodes. I watched the first 2 episodes and I really liked it. It was kind of like space spaghetti western, which I really liked. But then I guess I got distracted by something else. It was probably Critical Role, which I also have not been watching.
You watched Critical Role? I'm sorry, this is such a digression.
Yes. I love
We'll
Critical
talk
Role.
about that later. Put a pin in it.
I love Critical Role. I just haven't been able to like catch up with the episodes. Like, ooh, wait, 5 hours?
What is what is this Critical Role? What is it?
Okay.
Sure.
So, it's basically a group of nerdy ass voice actors who sit around and play Dungeons and Dragons every Thursday. And it's really awesome. It's so awesome.
It's so good.
It's so good. If you love nerdy shit, it's really good. It's really good character development, stuff like that. And I feel like it's a good healing balm for empty of not having Star Wars content, because there is so much content. Literally an episode is 4 hours long.
Yeah, it's like a full Lord of the Rings extended edition.
Where do we find this?
Yeah.
You can find it on YouTube. It premieres every Thursday at on Twitch.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Roll in a very different way. That's funny. That's a great name. But I'm hoping in The Mandalorian, I think that is such a queer show. We really went into it starting like the third episode of that on our podcast, and I'm sure we will do like a recap of the series before season 2 comes. I, for the first time, may find myself, I'm going to have to work real hard at being a pink milk half full kind of guy, because if Din Djarin isn't gay, I know there was the thing with what's her name, but that show is so queer coded. I have an inability to see it any other way. If rumors are to be true that Ahsoka's going to be in it, that's going to be very tough for for me to see her in another way. I'm a really big animation fan, and I think like comics and animation for me are like almost the truest sense of art. Because from, like Clone Wars was not appreciated at the beginning for its stylistic choices, but it said a lot about what George was trying to do, the era in which inspired that show and Star Wars in general. That I feel you get this whole picture that you can't get with people because we're people, and as much makeup as you want to put on, people still look like people or they walk a certain way. So it's something I love about animation, and I really hope that they do Ahsoka well, because that's going to be hard if they don't. And then if they also don't go down the queer road in The Mandalorian, it's going to be hard for me to see it another way. So I'm really nervous what season 2 is going to bring, because I have to be realistic about it and think that it might not go down that road, and probably won't, but I'm hoping.
I'm the same way when it comes to Ahsoka. Like I'm really trying to leave space for whatever happens, because I was one of the people that wanted Ashley to do the voice. And it sounds like Ashley has kind of been cut out of the equation. And it's because I've been listening to her as Ahsoka for the last 12 years. Yep. And I cannot divorce the character from the voice. So I'm trying to leave space in my heart for something new. Out of all the news about the Ahsoka possible rumor happening or whatever, like I'm so glad that they picked a woman of color. That's what I'll say in the positive realm about it.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope they do her well. I really, really do. Because I'm not even sure, for so long, like I have been an Ahsoka stano since 2008. I liked the original Clone Wars movie. I get that it isn't like the greatest cinema ever, but I really, really liked that character. I felt like I knew what they were trying to do with her. And then no one could have anticipated where she went over the years. But, is Ahsoka even like a minor character that people don't know about anymore? Or is she getting more mainstream? Actually, the few of you in here that are more casual or newer to the fan base, did you know who she was before? Actually, you're like the perfect people to talk to.
I was aware of who Ahsoka was. Like, I was aware that she was the Padawan of Anakin Skywalker. And that was pretty much it.
Okay.
I was like, oh, that's cool that Anakin had a Padawan. And then I continued never watching Clone Wars.
Yep, pretty much the same. I recognized her because she has a very distinct character design. And I'm like, oh, it's that one chick from Clone Wars that I'll probably never watch, that everyone loves.
Thank you, Netflix, for putting that in people's everyday stuff. Yeah, she's so great. Like, I feel like once people find out who she is, people love her. I mean, she is an amazing character. Even Tom, who, we've been together ever since she made it into the movie, never really watched Clone Wars until we did the podcast. And then I put together, like a grouping of episodes that I thought would be really important to season 7. So we watched those, and he was like, oh my gosh. And then at the end of season 7, actually in the middle, because we really liked the Martez sister arc. I think it was actually really wonderful. It was probably, it might even be my favorite arc from season 7. The last was amazing, but I almost feel like the real meat and potatoes are right there in the middle. Because like, oh my gosh, I think I understand why you love her so much, which was cool. Because he had been hearing me talk about her for 12 years without knowing who she was, really. But yeah, I always feel like I'm speaking about a character that nobody knows, but I don't know where she stands anymore in the public domain. But so, where do we want Star Wars to go in the future? I'd like to hear from everybody, actually, because I think this is it's an interesting thing. Maria, you touched on this. Star Wars is it has a moment to really define what it's going to be for a very, very long time, because we are no longer going to have a decade without Star Wars in between things. But it's got a lot of conversation. I think Star Wars is still probably the most loved and the biggest of the franchises, which I don't even like to call it a franchise, but it is, and it's probably, the biggest of them all, so it's got a standard to set, I think. So I'm curious where it's going to go and what we want from it.
Well, like, for me, going back to sort of what you were saying earlier about hoping, what Maria was saying about, like, hoping and demanding things from Star Wars, more diversity, wider range of storytelling behind the camera, in front of the camera, and not just like coded or even accidentally coded. Like with The Mandalorian, I felt like I was still like, I stopped in the middle of The Mandalorian because I was sort of like hurt from The Rise of Skywalker. I had to go into like a healing period before I got back into the rest of The Mandalorian. But I felt like it was such a dark horse show. Like, I'm like, I don't think they intended to make this show, have like, because I know a lot of women who weren't really into Star Wars and wasn't really expecting The Mandalorian to be a thing that they'd like, ended up really liking it. And like, even how you're saying, like, it feels very queer coded, and just because it just seems so different from like something like how The Rise of Skywalker, and it came out around the same time, and it's so sort of like this accidental representation. So I want more like intention in the future, and not just wanting that. Like, as a writer, I imagine myself being one day in that room. So, I just want, I want to be part of it. Like, just even now being part of a podcast, that's being part of it. But going forward and encouraging other people who have smaller voices to be part of it, even in a small way. Because I like, we were talking before when we first started this podcast about not knowing that many Black women who even talked about Star Wars or knew anything about it, simply just because they felt like it wasn't a thing for them. But Star Wars can be so universal. Like in one character, Ahsoka, so many people relate to her from all different walks of life. And so I think that's what I want from Star Wars, to be part of the voice that speaks to a million different people in a million different languages in a million different ways.
That's really awesome. I'd love to have a conversation with you actually about Ben Solo, and I love what you're talking about. Him living under the stress of what came before. Because I think I am a pretty big fan overall of the sequel trilogy. I don't know if I love. I mean, it's hard for it's been out for a few years, all of them, and we're comparing it to these things that I've had my entire life. So I know like it's not a fair comparison at this moment because there hasn't been enough time away. But I love the characters of Rey and Ben so much. And I think that I believe that the sequel trilogy handled these two characters with trauma in an impressive and really respectful and well done way. and two people who came from two very different kinds of trauma and handled them very, very differently, but still saw each other. Because I think only people who have experienced trauma can see each other in that same way. Other people can try as much as they want to, but there's an inability to see it that way. And I look to Ray as a father who's raising three kids, all from the foster system, who all have suffered trauma far more than any human being possibly deserves to have gone through. And nothing good brought them to us. And as a parent to those children, it's our obligation to do everything we can for them to make sure that everything they suffered through wasn't for naught, as much as we can. And I think Ray in particular, she learned from Ben. I think she learned from Ben of how not to be, if that makes sense. And that's why she was able to help him, because she saw him and she knew exactly where he was going because she felt it. And she was able to pull him out of it in a way that even his parents weren't able to, because they, didn't. I guess his parents should have known.
Yeah, I completely understand. I think that's something that's so good about Star Wars, though, is that the villains in any form of media. Good villains show you the line which you do not cross. You can understand the villain, you can sympathize with him, but when you look at them, you can see how they got there, so you can see how you also can get there, and that is a line you do not cross. But it's also about that connection between people and that intimacy. And, in Star Wars helps share that intimacy with so many different people, even with just two characters of Ben and Rey, who, yes, you said it perfectly. They're just beautifully crafted. Their dynamic was the best part of the sequel trilogy in my mind. It's so strong.
Yep. 100%. 100%. Anyone else?
Well, when you the question about the future of Star Wars, a lot of people point to the High Republic era, the new books and that series that's coming out. Look, see, things are getting better. Things are getting better. I would challenge those people to actually read the character descriptions for those characters that have been released on StarWars.com. And I think that now is a great time, since they pushed those books back, to do a rewrite. So that is my personal opinion. When you look at the character description for the only black female character, her name is Keeve Trennis. She doesn't believe in herself. And she is quick-witted and impulsive, more impulsive than she should be. And when you compare that to the lead, the character Arva Chris, she is a white female with beautiful golden locks and blue eyes. She is the brightest, most noble example of Jedihood. I don't know. In 2020 and moving into 2021, I think we need a swap there, guys. That's my impression of those two characters. Even when you look at the depiction of Keeve, she isn't smiling like the other girl is. She has a sort of stern smirk on her face. Her skin tone is brown, but it's a washed out shade. There's no warmth there. Her hair is very straight, and there's like a long Padawan dread in the back. So I think that maybe Lucasfilm needs to do another pass at this and make sure that what they're representing is what they want people to take away from it. I'm not saying that we can't show people of color in that light, but again, this goes back to like the burden that is placed on people of color to be the first, to be the one character. When you only have one person of color, you want to make sure that you're showing them in the most positive light possible. So when you say that someone doesn't believe in their self, right? Not cool. For the only black woman on the cast. Not the way I want that person to be depicted. But when we go back to Arva Chris, she believes in herself. She has a strong sense of wrong and right, an exemplary model of the Jedi Order. Why can't that person be the black woman? That's the question that I'm asking myself. Impulsive. This could be embarrassing. As the only woman of color there, like, what does that mean? That what are they saying about us as a people? What are they trying to get at there? I just, and we've had a couple of white female leads in the movies, right? We've had
But
Rey,
not a blonde one.
we've had Jen. Oh, isn't that special? Isn't that cute? Yeah, that's a real departure.
I agree with you, and it's very unfortunate that every black character in Star Wars has a dark past.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has an element of villainy somewhere along their history train. I really liked what y'all were talking about with Mace Windu. I think it was a couple episodes ago. And I never liked him. I think he's a jerk. I really didn't like him after what he said to Ahsoka.
Right? But I was ready to come to the TV.
Yeah. But, listening to, y'all's podcast, speaking about that specifically, it's, here it is, like, how unfair that it's just another person that you can find reason not to like. It was.
I think. Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think that like on screen and representation is important, but what's equally important is like hiring like minority writers, so we don't have the situation that Maria's talking about right now, and like minority artists. So we don't have a situation where like the only black Jedi character that we're getting is somebody that has quote unquote an attitude problem.
Yep.
She's the sassy one.
That's exactly what I'm trying to get at, the Foxy Cleopatra trope. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's interesting. You had mentioned, Maria, the email you got. The few. I mean, I don't want to go down the train of not sounding appreciative, but we have had a few little messages here or there. Of course, private messages that aren't public, that accusing us of not being gay enough. I'm like. And it's so frustrating that, and they weren't gay people, they were straight people telling us that, and I'm like, it's the same thing. Like queer people in the media, it's always, I mentioned it earlier. I'm like, how am I not queer enough? I'm married to a man, and we've been together for a very long time. Like, I don't understand what's not gay enough about what I'm talking about. And I would say that like every episode, I'm trying to come at it through a queer lens. And I don't know what you mean by not enough. It's really frustrating to hear people who are not of our experience tell us what it's like to be in our experience. When you don't have enough representation. So I understand what you're saying for 100%. 100%.
Absolutely. And no one can say that your feelings aren't valid because you're not a stereotype, you're a person. Yep. And maybe that individual is just used to seeing, some sort of stereotypical representation of that. And I think that's important too. And that's why when you have one black female character, you want to make sure that they aren't the sassy, foxy Cleopatra trope. Absolutely.
Yeah, give the little girls who are already feeling like insecure because they don't look like all the other kids in their classroom a reason. Don't give them another person who feels insecure. Give them someone who's completely full of themselves and knows how wonderful they are, so they can say, I can be like that too. I think is
And
important. I
also,
agree.
if I can add, I would say this kind of thing also speaks to those coming in the future that are going to be sitting in the writing room and that are going to be, working on these characters and developing these characters. You want them to, to live a life, see a life where they don't automatically assume that the good guy looks like them, because a lot of that comes from just, the sheer familiarity, you know what I mean? And I think that, that's what we end up doing when we have the only Black character as this, as a supporting character, as the sassy one, as the one who fits a stereotype. And like Maria said, we should be able to switch those around. We've moved on enough. You would think we have. But what I see it as is not only for the little girls at home or, and whoever actually at home, but, it's also just for the people who are going to be creating in the future to finally be able to see things as, if that makes sense, that they can finally see that the good guy doesn't have to be someone like them. It could be someone else.
100%. 100%. Well, yeah, that's that's something I think I'm learning as this show is going on. That there is something to take from other people who are not you, but can learn what it can look like. Actually, that's really well said, for sure. It's 100%. 100%. So we need to end this on some fun because I like to laugh and we all enjoy some laugh. And this has been a really wonderful conversation. It's been pretty heavy. So, I think we've never done this on the show, but Tom and I work very hard at making our podcast feel like you are sitting at our kitchen table having a conversation with us and breaking bread with us, because it's something that is very important. So for the first time in Pink Milk, and I'm going to do it with this very large table, we're going to do our berry shares for the evening. The boys will know what I'm talking about. But every night after dinner or during dinner, we go around the table and we say our berry shares, and you can insert your first or last name, whatever you feel more comfortable with. But we like to say here that we are berries, we support each other, we have fun, and I am grateful for every night. And so tonight I would like to say I am a berry, I support you all, we've had fun, and I am very grateful that we've had this many people come sit at my kitchen table and share your stories and be as open as you have been. I know it's really, really hard, and I'm really, really appreciative. I've learned a lot. I hope other people have learned. And I really, really appreciate your podcast and how open you are, and you're never afraid to say, quote unquote, the wrong thing. You just share your views because it's important. So I'm very grateful that all of you have come on. This has been up there with a really important and very special Pink Milk. So I thank you, honestly, from the bottom of my heart. I really mean it. So thank you.
No, thank you so much. That's adorable, and it means a lot too. I guess I'll go next. I'm not going to say my last name because I get enough hate mail at work. So I'm just going to say I'm a sister, and my name is Maria. And I am so grateful for this network of beautiful, smart, intelligent, fantastic women, right? And I'm getting to know them more each and every day, and just talking with them and sending messages every day has really helped me stay afloat, because I'm doing so many things for so many people. And this is kind of my me time when I get to just hang out with other women that are just like me. And it makes me feel like I'm part of something, and that I have a tether, in the fandom, and I love it. So I'm very grateful for that. Thank you, ladies.
Awesome.
we're grateful for you too.
Definitely.
I'm a Bennett. I don't mind saying my last name. I'm glad to be here. What am I thankful for? Well, I'm thankful to be here today. I got into an accident, so I'm glad I could just even be here making this pod with y'all. And every time I get to talk to people who love Star Wars and are willing to talk about it through not the way that normally, I guess, mainstream people talk about it, I guess. I'm always thankful for those moments because it makes it feel like my 22-year-old obsession of Star Wars is, worth it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. Olivia.
I just want to say, I'm Olivia, and I am grateful for it's, the same theme, like just to have a community of Black women to relate to Star Wars. And it's really such a meaningful thing when you grow up not being able to really talk about the things you love with anyone that really looks like you. And to be honest, I didn't have many friends that were girls growing up that were into anime. I was often, people call me weird for it, or like Star Wars. People call me like like that's not cool, like shame me about these things. And so now that I'm an adult and I have this community, it's a really healing experience. And even you having us on the podcast, I'm just really grateful to just be expanding that support in my life and to come together over something that is, a hobby for me or, an interest. And I think that's a beautiful thing. So thank you.
Yeah, awesome. G.
All right, so I am a dairy-based beverage that is typically served hot or cold, that is also named G. And I am grateful for the opportunity to get to talk to so many interesting and wonderful people. And I'm grateful for their kindness and their support. And I'm grateful that I get to talk to a bunch of Black female nerds almost every week.
That's awesome. Roll.
Yeah, I'm a Roll, and I am also grateful for being able to connect to the community because living in Japan, being a Black nerd, I feel extremely isolated, and I'm just really happy and thankful that Marie's made this opportunity for me to connect with more people because otherwise I'd probably still be on LiveJournal crying in the emo dark about how I have no friends. So thank you.
That's awesome. All right, Raven. Last but not least.
Well, that was great, Roll. I am a Jennifer. I'm gonna go ahead and spill the dark secrets. And I am grateful for this group of women, just to be a part of it and to have these experiences and to hear other people's views. So, what do they say? Fearlessly expressed. But at the same time, it's so welcoming. We have these discussions and it's not, there's no animosity. We have these discussions and it's just this great belonging and community. But most important, I think I'm grateful for Maria bringing this idea out and getting it started so that I, specifically for myself with my own history, can hopefully help some young girl who was like me and felt very left out and not included to realize that she does in fact belong and that there are people out there who are going to welcome her with open arms. And if we can be the, banner carriers for that, then I'm in it.
I love it. Yeah, Maria, thank you. I am so impressed how many people have come together for you. That speaks volumes to who you are and what you share and your openness to other people. It's really, really great. And thank you so much, ladies. This has been it's been really awesome. I hope you had as much fun as I did. I learned a lot, and I am very, very grateful to all of you. So thank you. And yeah, I think talking to people about Star Wars in a different way is really amazing. Before this podcast, I was never really even on Twitter or anything. Star Wars was always just mine and just in my head. And there's been a whole community of people who have been very open-armed. I think overall I've experienced a lot more positivity than negativity, so I hope you all have too, because it's a really great community, and it's something that a few years ago wouldn't have been possible, so it's really awesome. Maria, you want to give out your socials, and I will put everyone's Twitter handles and all that stuff in the show notes. And if I don't follow all of you now, I will find you and follow you. And thank you for your time. But Maria, what are your socials? What have you got going on? Let everybody know.
The pod is at Sabers with. I'm at Blurred Girl Jedi on both Twitter and Instagram. And then the pod's Instagram, I think, is also at Sistas with Sabers, I believe. I didn't get to say drink up, but drink up, everyone.
Drink up.
Yeah.
There you go. Thank you so much, ladies.
I love that part.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone, for listening. And give these ladies a listen every week. If you don't subscribe to them, do it right away, because it's really amazing what they do. So thank you very much, ladies, for joining us. And everyone, have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, ladies, thank you so much for coming on to Pink Milk and drinking with me. It was a really, really awesome time. And I think I might be a little different after this. It was a really great conversation.
Bryan, that was the fastest podcast we have ever had. I feel like it went by in a blink.
It really, I feel like we just sat down.
I literally feel like we just sat down.
That's pretty...
Almost as if I was not here. It was an out-of-body experience.
That's how good this conversation went.
Thank you, sisters of Sabers.
Oh, no, thank you. I met Maria at a Zoom call that we had with another fabulous podcast, The Force Toast with Alice and Laura. And I want to send a super, super big shout out to Alice and Laura of Force Toast. It's a great podcast. Back in, I think it was March, because I think it was like the beginning of all this craziness, they had like a little happy hour. And that's when I first met Maria over Zoom, and we just had an instant connection. And we've been fast Twitter friends ever since. And she's a really, really wonderful lady and has the cutest baby ever. She will be the cutest baby ever until, no. Ahsoka's younger than all of her kids, so she can always be the cutest baby. But I had a really, really great time speaking with them. I hope you enjoyed the listen. The ladies brought a layer to the show that we haven't had in a really long time, so I'm super stoked. I wish you were here, Pop.
I was here in spirit.
Anyways, with that said, we have hopefully another guest on the lineup, which will be very exciting. We've had a lot of these guest spots lately, so it's been pretty cool. Until then, make sure to follow all the ladies of Sistas with Saber. I'm going to do a real quick shout out of all their socials, but I will definitely put it in the show notes because there's a lot here. So Sistas with Sabers, the podcast, is at Sabers with Blurred Girl Jedi, Jenna Bella J, MJRJT, the Royal Milk Tea. That's a good one.
I like it.
Olive Gelato and Binary _ or all their Twitter handles. Like I said, I'll put them in the show notes because that's a lot to try to listen. And please don't write these down while you're driving if you're listening to this podcast on the car.
And don't drink and drive.
Don't drink and drive. You can find us on a whole bunch of new podcatchers. We are now on Stitcher. We are now on Google Podcasts. We are on Anchor, and we are on Amazon Alexa something or other, and Pandora.
We are everywhere you want us to be.
Don't know how to get to all those, but I know I signed us up for them. So if that's where you're listening to them, we're also on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, our own website, which is a new servingpinkmilk.com. servingpinkmilk.com. You can also find us on Twitter and Instagram at servingpinkmilk. Much easier to say than the old one, so hopefully you are still finding us, but go look for Serving Pink Milk and enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you so much. It's time to drink up.
Drink up.
Bye.